Hello everybody, I apologize for the delay in content recently. I was sent to the void, but now I'm back, and I decided, hey, why not make a video about asexuality? For the unaware, hello, I'm Sunny, and I'm on the asexual spectrum. Asexuality has been widely discussed by the media. Some good, some bad, and some of the black mold whispering to J.K. Rowling at night. I've been wanting to make a video about asexuality ever since I watched the video Fandom Can't Handle Asexuality by Misty Sparkles, in which they talk about how the Hazbin Hotel fandom reacted to Alistair being a quote-unquote implied asexual, and the hellfire that followed the fandom afterwards. For those of you who have never been to gay high school, asexuality, in simple terms, is the lack of sexual attraction to others. Thanks, Wikipedia. However, asexuality is a spectrum, and there isn't just one way to be ace. Commonly, asexuality is confused with aromantic, the lack of romantic attraction. Again, both of them are spectrums. Ace and aro people can have romantic and sexual experiences, which leads us to the first section of today's video. Now, commonly, ace people are viewed as repressed little blablies that just haven't met the right person yet.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
This sentence is said to other queer individuals so often it starts to sound like a broken record whenever we interact with non-queer individuals. Most ace people are simply just not interested in people that way. But since sexual experiences are so tied into romantic cultures, others see it as a crime if you don't do the boom-ba-ya 24/7 365. Which leads us to our next misconception. Asexuals have to have experienced some sort of traumatic experience in order to feel that way. This was originally the understanding of asexuality, and it was originally a medical condition like homosexuality and being transgender. While yes, some asexuals have faced abuse that caused them to be sex repressed, not all asexuals are. Asexuality isn't just sex is bad, it's more complex, and frankly, none of your business. The last misconception is that aromantic equals asexual. As I explained in the previous section, aromantic is the romantic side of things, while asexual is the sexual side of things. Pretty simple stuff if you ask me. Now that that's over, we can move on to the fun part. There's a few ace characters out there. However, very few of them have outwardly stated that they're ace. Now, I'm not saying that a character needs to have a huge coming out scene, but I wish it was shown somehow instead of a creator simply tweeting, "Oh, by the way, he's asexual." Case in point, Dan Povenmire, creator of Phineas and Ferb, in which he responded to a comment on TikTok asking if Perry was a part of the LGBTQ community, in which Dan replied, "Does asexual count?" Well, since platypuses don't asexually reproduce like another animal we're about to talk about, Dan's statement does raise an eyebrow for me. But I think what he was going for is that Perry just likes fighting crime and is not interested in that kind of stuff. Also, I do find it's a bit odd that Dan did have to ask if asexuality does count, because in this case, it does. Asexuality does count as a LGBTQ plus identity. Anything that bends society's laws of gender and sexuality counts as a queer identity. Another character that was confirmed to be ace is the one, the only, Spongebob SquarePants. In an interview with Steven Hillenburg, he said, quote, "We never intended them to be gay. I consider them to be almost asexual," in response to speculation of Patrick and SpongeBob's relationship. Funny enough, Steven Hillenburg was actually a marine biologist for some time. So, with his knowledge of sea sponges, this label does make sense, since, fun fact, sea sponges asexually reproduce. This doesn't mean that SpongeBob can't have relationships with other characters. He's seen in the show to have a deep connection with his friends and family. And in my personal opinion, I think that he's both asexual and pansexual, in which he's romantically interested in someone regardless of gender. He's also been seen making romantic or even flirtatious remarks towards Squidward, but that's a whole other can of worms that I don't got time to get into. There's also canon ace characters in books. The characters that come to mind are from the works of Alice Oseman, the creator of Heartstopper. These characters being Victoria/Tori Spring, who is asexual. She appears in Solitaire, Heartstopper, Nick and Charlie, This Winter, and Radio Silence. Aled Last, who is also asexual, he appears in Radio Silence, Heartstopper, and Nick and Charlie. Georgia War, who is aro ace, and she appears in Loveless, and one of the newest additions to the cast, Isaac Henderson, who is also aro ace. He appears in the Heartstopper TV show though, and from what I remember, I don't believe he's in the books. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Alice is a well-known queer creator herself, and I'm glad that she has so many ace and aro ace characters all across her work. Other canon ace characters include Peridot from Steven Universe, who is asexual, and Lilith Clawthorn from The Owl House, who is aro-ace. Now, these two characters are from shows that I kinda know about. I have yet to see Steven Universe. I know I gotta watch Steven Universe. There's a lot of shows I gotta catch up on, but I started watching The Owl House and I did not finish it. I'm so sad. It's a good show, I've heard. There are still other ace characters out there, but I'm too lazy to list them all, and I don't know what media they're from, so I can't really tell you how it affects the story or anything like that. My apologies. Now, here comes another fun part. Implied representation and popular fan speculation. To me, when a character has implied representation, it's usually due to corporate censorship, or a creator not wanting to outright say, oh hey, by the way, this character is asexual, or say it in the show, because, you know. These characters include Alistair from Hazbin Hotel, who is implied to be asexual and also aromatic, I think. Psyche from The Disastrous Life of Psyche K, who is implied to be aro-ace, and Elsa from Frozen, who is implied to be aro-ace as well. These are just to name a few, but you know, the section has gone on long enough, so let's see what the fans have to say. This is where we get into fandom and asexuality. Here's the thing, fandom is often built on shipping culture, and the overall romantic appearance of characters. Shipping is when someone takes two or more characters from two or more fandoms who are not in a relationship and imagines them in a relationship. It can also be for just one fandom, but whatever. In fandoms that are predominantly made up of LGBTQ individuals, shipping is more common. However, even in these fandoms, asexual representation is very low unless most of the characters are ace or aro-ace. Now, here's a fun fact for you. Ace and aro characters can still be shipped with other characters. Here's an example. An ace character has a crush on another character, or an aro character has a deep platonic relationship with another character. We don't always need a sexual story. We can enjoy romantic and platonic relationships, which are one of my favorite things to read about. I find that if a character is popular enough though, take Alistair for example, his implied asexuality is erased because the fandom can't handle asexuality. See what I did there? But please go watch Misty's video for more fandom stuff. The link is in the description. It's funny. Please go watch it. I love supporting other YouTubers. I love my job. But before I conclude this section, I would like to add that people can still be attracted to asexual characters. You can also write them in asexual situations, since not all ace people are sex repressed. But again, please take ace characters' sexuality into consideration when writing these kind of things, or drawing fan art, or visiting the deep dark corners of the web. Thank you. For my last section, I would like to give my own personal opinions on ace and ace-coded characters. I personally like some of these characters. If you watched my last video on representation in the media, then you would know that I like to see myself in ace-coded characters, or characters that I headcanon to be ace. For example, Spongebob SquarePants. I find that there is room for improvement, as is with anything, and that we will see more ace characters in the future. One last thing I would like to touch on is how I mentioned that Elsa from Frozen is kind of aro-ace implied. I think Disney should make her aro-ace to show that princesses don't always need to have a partner, and that they can have platonic relationships in their lives too. Well, viewer, I hope I yapped off your ear enough that you've learned a little bit more about asexuality that you already did, or learned a little bit of things about asexuality. I do hope I can make other types of videos in the future. I don't want to be stuck making this in media, that in media, but I do believe these kind of topics are really important, especially with the stuff that's going on in the world recently. I will probably be posting my reaction to the Amazing Digital Circus finale when it comes out on YouTube, so be on the lookout for that. Remember to stay hydrated in these warm seasons, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye-bye!
Lucas will